Hey everybody, it's January 16th, 2020. Just come for another walk around with Jeb. The wind is really howling up here on top of the hill, so I don't know if this video is going to work, if the wind's going to howl in the mic or not. But me and Jebby come for a walk, normal evening walk up the hill, get the heart pumping just a little bit. Let Jeb stretch his legs. Check the game camera. This is a normal evening routine. Really appreciate everybody watching the videos. I've had a lot of feedback. A lot of people I work with like, "Oh man, I love the stories." And, it's pretty cool. So I did have a request. One of my friends at work heard a story early on. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit of story about getting my tail whooped by a monkey. not a monkey in some other sense, a real honest to God monkey. I was 12, 13 years old, and my grandmother and grandfather were doing some volunteer work for a place called the Simeon Lodge. I'm not going to get into real detail, but this was a place, because there's a lot I don't know and I don't want to upset anybody, but this was a place that took in monkeys that had been abused and or abandoned for numerous reasons. The main reason people, oh, monkeys are so cute and they're so neat, and they get this monkey as a baby, not realizing that the baby monkey grows up. And monkeys are kind of like handicapped children. You have to be with them all the time, whether they're newborns or they're 30, and they live a long time. So they had a lot of monkeys, a lot of different kinds of monkeys. They even had a silverback gorilla, which was really neat. This thing was just huge. All kind of other monkeys. Spider monkeys. I'm pretty sure Timmy was a spider monkey. My grandfather kind of adopted him. Timmy had belonged to a carney who got old and passed away, and Timmy was chained in this lady's basement. Her family finally donated Timmy to the Simeon Lodge, and my grandfather became Timmy's best friend and was until Timmy passed away. Pretty cool monkey. Many stories there, but one, I was staying at my mama and granddaddy's house in Bristol for the weekend, which I'd done quite a bit. Good times. I'd pull up in the blue Volkswagen when I was little. I was all excited. But anyway, we were there at the Simeon Lodge, which was near Bristol, Tennessee, and my grandmother and grandfather was doing their volunteer work, and said, "Hey, you want to help out? You can water these monkeys outside." So I go out, I kind of look around. They had two albino raccoons that were just cool to me because they were albino and they were huge. And I liked raccoons. Had one as a pet as a kid. It's a different story. Probably the coolest pet ever. Maybe next to him. But, hey, Jeb likes to listen to me tell stories too, okay? But anyway, so I'm outside, I'm checking it out, and they had some pens outside of the building. And monkeys are fairly smart and they're very strong. So these pens were built pretty much like prison cells almost. For a lack of better explanation, they were bars and they were welded together, and they had really good doors, and they were made where they couldn't be bent and stuff like that. And they had several of these pens outside, and there were several monkeys who lived outside. Of course, now they had little shelters built in there that they could go in and stay warm with bedding and things. But so you go along and you water these monkeys, and all the front doors of these metal bars, about like a prison cell, they'd be around 3-4 inches apart. And they had stainless steel water bowls there, and you filled them up with a water hose. You just kind of walked in front of the cage and filled them all up. So most of the monkeys these are not pets. These are, abandoned or abused monkeys. So most of the time they're not, coming up sticking their hand out wanting to touch you and things like that. They're just kind of in the back of the cage watching real close, like, what are you doing? Especially somebody who they're not super familiar with, which would be me, the 13-year-old little boy that they hadn't seen a whole lot of. I'm walking along these cages, and I'm feeling that most of the monkeys are staying towards the back of the pens. I get to this one, and I'm filling the water bowl up, and I look up, and the monkey's sitting on a shelf in the back of the cage. And he's just looking at me. And I say I'm pretty sure it was a male. A macaque, I believe it was the species of monkey. I'm not exactly sure, but he looked like an elderly man. He was bald-headed, much like me, and he had a ring kind of around the back of his head, about where I have hair. It was skin there, and it was kind of rolled up, but it was also white hair around it. His top of his head, his forehead, and his face was really red. He had a big nose, not like a proboscis monkey with a huge nose, but he had a fairly large red, pink nose, and he just had this sour disposition on his face, like an old, angry man sitting out in front of a barber shop or something. He was just sitting back there, and he probably looked shorter because he was sitting down. His legs were up under him, his arms were to his side. He's kind of a dumpy monkey because he don't have a whole lot of room to run around and a whole lot of places to climb, and he got fed real well. So he, like me, he was bald-headed, red-faced, and had a gut, and he was just sitting back there, just minding his own business, staring at me. So I watch him for a few minutes, and I kind of chuckle. This monkey looks like an old fat man. So I look back down, and I'm watching the bucket fill up with water. And all of a sudden, I see these two little feet step up beside of the water bowl. And I thought, what? So I kind of just picked my head up. Well, 12, 13 years old, I had lots more hair than I have now, and it was growing out quite a bit, so it was probably 3-4 inches long, especially, around my ear area. And when I looked up, this old man had got down, walked up to the edge of the cage with me not having a clue. When I looked up, all I seen was hands that were already in between the bars. Those hands come out of the bars like Bruce Lee, okay? Like, yeah! Just bam! This monkey grabbed me by the hair, right behind my ears on both sides of my head, and just tried to pull me in the pen with him. The only problem was my head was bigger than the metal bars, so he's bam against these metal bars. Needless to say, the monkey put the lights out. I remember thinking, oh sheesh, what just happened? And I'm laying on the ground flat on my back. There's water, of course, where I dropped the water hose running, so I'm soaking wet. And I kind of stand up, and this monkey is right back where it was to begin with. And I'm like, what the hell? He looked like nothing ever happened. I've got a red mark between my eyes. This monkey just knocked me out. There's a big puddle of water where the water hose is running. I dust myself off. Monkey never flipped me a bird or like ha 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 or nothing. He just sat there just like nothing had happened. Lesson learned. I paid a little closer attention to the monkeys and a little more how close I was standing to their pens, because monkeys tend to have longer arms than you would imagine, even the short, dumpy ones. But that story is from my buddy Zach. He said, I want you to do the monkey story. So there's the monkey story about me getting my ass whipped by a monkey, a real monkey. Oh, it's good story. Several more to come. Thanks everybody for watching the videos. Oh, I love to hear you. And I'm like, well, okay. I guess I'd like to record myself. So win-win. Like and subscribe to the videos. If you don't like the videos, don't watch them. Share them with your friends. Who knows what it could turn into. I don't know what the next story will be. It'll probably be a week or two before I do any more stories, but I do have a really good story about my old man getting in a fight with a llama. It's pretty funny. See y'all.